Doesn't give us a countdown.
I don't know.
We're live, Naomi.
Okay, we're live with SPIA 2014 at the conference. So we're with the Google Apps for Education. This is the session. My name is Naomi Hartle. So I'm from Star City School. That's where I teach. I teach grades basically 3 to 12 to Z. I teach grade 3-4 split, 5-6 split, 7-8-9 split to Z. Then I have 10, 11, 12 all together as one class. I teach grade 9 math, grade 10 math, and the career health guidance 7 and 8. So I have a couple classes that I look at. And this is Adam Howell. So, Adam, if you want to tell them
about myself. Oh, sure. You know, first of all, I'm excited to join you today. This is pretty cool. You have a great conference going on. I've been following the hashtag on Twitter. My name is Adam Howell. I teach middle school physical education health in the States. I'm in Oregon right now on the West Coast. I'm currently on my prep between classes, and I am SPIA, so ready to go.
Okay, perfect. All right, so first couple of things. So Adam, if you want to pop the slides up on there, you can share your screen.
Sure.
So first couple of things that I wanted to talk about was really just kind of how, I kind of wanted to just give you an example of how I use kind of Google Apps and what I do in my phys ed class. So normally what I do, or what I would have done last year, is I'd be doing skill assessments with my students or an assessment with my students. And I'd have a station set up, a circuit. And at my station, at this point, I was doing backward rolls with my students. So at every other station, I'd have them doing something else. So what I do is I'd have my clipboard, I'd have all my rubrics with me, and I'd have my pencil, and I'd get ready to go, help my kid with their roll a couple times, assess them, mark it, check it off, hit rotate through next group. Next person comes in. Now what I do is Adam can pop up the form that I use. Let's see if it gets on there. Yeah, that one right there. So now what I do is I just go on here, and I have my iPad popped up or my phone, depending on what I'm using. And now I can just, basically, I type the student's name in, so I have the students listed in the back there. I have their names popped up. Oh, that's the spreadsheet.
I can't view the form, Naomi, so since I'm view only, I have no way to go to see what the form looks like.
Okay. I'll pop the form up here then.
Okay.
Desktop. Okay. Can you see my screen?
Unless you want to quickly share it with me, then I can open the form.
Can you see my screen right now?
1 minute. I think I was clicking on mine. Okay. There you are.
Okay, perfect. So this is my form that I use. So what I do is I go in here. I have this all set up ahead of time. It doesn't take me too long to type in a form. And then I type my students' names in. So I go student 1, or their name just popped up. I put their name down. And then basically what I do, so I click on their name. As I go through, okay, so they started in standing position. They brought their hands back where they wanted to. And I just go through, and I'm just going to check them off quickly. But obviously, I'm doing a very thorough assessment. I know what they're doing. Now, this is just a quick example. And then we're done, and then I submit it. So once it's submitted, oops, that's not the right one. Then what happens, the nice thing about this, so you may say, okay, that's all fine and dandy, but I can kind of do that on a piece of paper. What's the big deal? Well, what I do is I go onto my, then I have, these forms are linked to the spreadsheets. So all this information goes into one spreadsheet. So instead of having all this piece of papers that I have to go through, it's all in one spot. So now when I'm putting all my marks into my, for students to achieve, I just have to go to one page instead of flipping through many, many pages, and then I have to store that somewhere because I want to keep that for data. I want to keep that so I don't lose it. So instead of putting it in the filing cabinet, it's all stored in the cloud. So somewhere that I don't have to worry about losing it. So that's kind of the neat piece here. So Adam, I'll let you take the screen back.
Oh, it's in a tunnel. Oh gosh, we're in the twilight zone.
Ah.
Try something else.
There you go.
So
that's kind of how I use it. How are we doing?
Nope, I'm going to go back to you because my screen share is not working. It's just going in a big giant tunnel. So technology, sometimes when you're live it doesn't always work, and I do not know how to fix that. So my apologies.
Joy will man the computers. He's been a great keynote this year. So So
I think
that's
I got.
one thing that I just wanted to.
We're good. Got it.
Okay, good. All right, so next slide is the why one. So that's just kind of one example of how I use it in my classroom. But that was just kind of my introduction, and now I kind of want to talk a little bit about, and Joy talked about this at his keynote yesterday, but a little bit about the why. So what comes first, the drill or the hole in the wall? So Dr. Ash Casey, he is research at the, well, he's in UK and he's a researcher, and what he talks about, he has this quote, and he says, when you go to the hardware store to buy a drill, you don't want a drill. You want a hole in the wall, but they don't sell holes. So you need to buy a drill that is the technology used to make that hole. So it's something to think about too when you apply that to technology when we're using it in phys ed. And you think, what's the purpose? Why am I using this? Why do I need to use this? So some of you may say, okay, that's all fine and dandy. I'm a great teacher. I can do this stuff without technology. I don't mind flipping through those papers. That's okay. So then you can think about it in the other sense too. How is technology able to forward our students' thinking? How is it able to allow us to do things that we've never done before? So when you think about video analysis, you think of the Coach's Eye app. Yeah, you could take a video before, and you could analyze the video, but it took a while to do it. And now you can do it in real time. You can slow down, slow motion. So just some of the things that you can do is really quite neat. And Adam, do you want to add to that at all?
Sure. Yeah, I think, and I'll pull up a little picture here of kind of my workflow. I don't know if you can see that. Let me know if you can't. But you know, I've done some of the same things, and that's where I'm kind of at with technology. You know, I've always said, and I think that's probably the best way to look at it, is that, you know, technology shouldn't just be a shiny tool. You know, it should be something that supports instruction and really pushes pedagogy forward. With that said, you know, I'm starting to see a real potential there for technology has the ability for us now to change the game, you know, change the way we look at pedagogy and allow us to make new connections and be incredibly more efficient. You know, when I went to undergrad, you know, probably, you know, 10 years ago, you know, we were looking at video analysis. We were doing that, and we were doing it through a TiVo and on a TV, and it was really slow and cumbersome, and it really affected quality MVPA with our students. Well, now, you know, through Google, this is my workflow. You know, I take a video right in our Google Drive. This is our ultimate assessment, and I know our curriculum and outcomes are different in the States than they are in Saskatchewan, but I go through a Google form. I fill the information for the student. I watch the video. I give them, and this was in August of this year, so I would probably do it quite a bit differently next year. And when I submit it, it turns it into a little student progress report right here with a link to their video, my feedback, and then a space for self-reflection, and it drops it right into a student assignment folder. So I'm able to do that really quickly. And you know, I have big classes. I have classes of 40 to 45 students, and that's not something that I was able to even dream of previously. And that's been my challenge this year, is taking the idea of specific feedback, timely specific feedback, and being able to do that through video and get that information to my students. And without that technology, you know, I would not have been able to accomplish that. So the technology has allowed me to, you know, accomplish something I wasn't able to previously, and that's been huge. So go ahead, Naomi. I'm throwing it back to you.
Okay, perfect. All right, next slide. So if I remember correctly, our next slide is applications. Yep, for Google Apps for Education and Phys Ed. So I mean, we've just talked about a couple things that we've done and a little bit about what we're doing. But a couple of things that I really enjoy doing, or some things that I really think are kind of neat with Google Apps for Education, is your data collection. And you're not doing those spreadsheets. You have all your information in one spot. And actually, you can go in and you can have it show you. There's a button that you can click. And I think it's Show Response Summary on there. And it actually shows you like little pie charts. And it'll show you so you can see what are the kids getting, what are they not getting. So some instant feedback for you as well. So you can say, okay, maybe I missed that. Maybe that's something that I can go back and check out. So that's a neat thing there as well. So data collection, collaboration, it allows your students to collaborate together. Think of the shared document that we have going with our the conference right now. And people able to edit one document all at the same time. Your students can edit the same thing at one time in phys ed, in math, in English, in anything that you're doing. So that's the really kind of key point and really kind of neat thing, is that we can now all collaborate together. Nice thing for me is if Adam and I are working on something, he lives in Oregon. So sending emails back and forth is kind of difficult. I mean, we're an hour time change. But if I was with somebody in Australia, they're like sleeping right now. So in order to send emails back and forth is really tough. But if we can collaborate on the same document, all that information is there. So we're not sending emails back and forth with these documents. So, I mean, that's just practical for me, but so many possibilities of collaboration in phys ed. Teacher and student assessment, well, we've kind of talked about that already. We've gone through that part. It's a really nice way, especially with forms, it's a really nice way to kind of set up your assessment pieces. It takes a couple minutes, you know, it takes a little while to kind of get yourself set up. Once you started using them, I can create a form in about 3 minutes if I need to and put it out that morning. And it's really neat because it's ready to go. And pretty much we've talked about the rest, self-reflection, etc. And then the automated scripts is kind of the last thing that we'll kind of talk about. And I'll show you that a little bit closer to the end. But what Adam had done with his form there, and he had pushed it to that sheet of paper, that was one of the scripts that it's called Autocrat, which is a really neat script that you can use. Do you want to add anything to that, Adam?
No, I think you kind of covered it on what the potential is for what you can use applications, you know, and Google Apps for Ed. And I think that's the, you know, one of the big things is for me from a student perspective is that it's not device specific. You know, if you have an internet connection, you can access this stuff from anywhere. So I look at my student population. You know, we have 480 students in our school. You know, 70% of them are free or reduced lunch, and we're in a poverty area. A lot of them have their own iPod Touches, but they don't have internet at home. But if they bring them in, we have internet here at school, and we're able to, you know, connect to those things. We also have some iPod Touches we use in the classroom. I mean, it's really, whether it's mobile device, tablet, or computer or laptop, you know, you can. That's probably my favorite thing about using Google Apps for EDU with students is that it's not device specific, and you can use it anywhere.
So when we talk about Google Apps for Education.
So Naomi, I'm gonna. There you go.
Good. Think so? Yeah.
Yep. Go.
When we talk about Google Apps for Education, there's many different apps that you can talk about. I mean, you think of Google Maps, you think of Google Calendars, Google Sites. There's so many different things. The one that we're kind of focusing on specifically is Google Drive and kind of the components within Google Drive. So if Adam can pop up that next slide there. Yeah. So if you look at the four little kind of icons that I have, we have Google Docs, which is in the top left-hand corner. Oh, you popped up that. So we have Google Docs, Google Forms, Google Spreadsheets, and Google Drawings, and Google Presentation is kind of what we're using here, that we kind of practice what we preach and actually use this. So the next slide. So how do we use Drive? So we've kind of talked about some of these things a little bit, and I mean, you can all read that. I mean, I have my class folders, which is something that I've shared with you, and if you haven't, I'll give you a chance to kind of sign up for that form, and then you'll get some documents, so we'll do that after when Adam has to go. But some of the things that I use too is, I was just checking out what he's popping up. So these are the class folders that he was showing right there. And you'll see that right away once I share those with you if you haven't signed up for it already. But there's some other things that I do with Drive. When I'm in my classroom with my students, I have my iPad out and I'm taking pictures of my students and the work that they're doing. And then I put that in a folder that's shared with my students that they can access. We have Google Sites, and we use those for e-portfolios. So we have students like conferences. And it's kind of like a three-way communication style. And what are you doing? Show us. Tell us what you're doing. So we use our e-portfolios to have our kids show the parents what we're doing and what they're doing in school. So I have these pictures that I have that they can access in their e-portfolios, and they can pop up. They can grab them and go. So I'm not trying to share a whole bunch of things, email things. I'm not trying to email me stuff. It's all in one spot that they can access. So that's one thing that I really love using. All the information stored in the cloud. I don't have to have a flash drive. I broke my flash drive about 1.5 years ago, and it was a very devastating moment because it was right before my basketball tournament, and it was a stressful time. So now I try and put everything I possibly can into the cloud so it's not going to get lost. So if Google ever shuts down, I will be in trouble. But that's not going to happen. So
not to interrupt you, Naomi, but a little bit about taking pictures and video. That's been really helpful for me in class. You know, I take a lot of video in class for summative and formative assessment, and also just as a teaching tool, like exemplars. Like if we're playing an invasion game, and you know, right now we're working an Elite Up basketball game with my 6th and 7th graders, and we're playing hula hoop ball. So I got that from Twitter. So we have some hula hoops hanging from our nets, and we're using little gopher dodgeballs as the ball. But the concept is using V cuts and L cuts and creating space and offensive flow and things like that. And so I have some groups that are doing an exceptional job, and I can easily just take a quick video on my phone, and I can. Oftentimes I then project that in the classroom. I use a projector, but I show that on the screen, and we take a look at it, and then I might pause it at a certain area and say to my students, I might ask them, say, okay, what is Emma right here? What are the strategic options that she has? Like, what could she do next? Things like that, and it allows us to have some really rich discussion. I can also take that video, put it in like our class shared folder as an exemplar. I use that video then to put in student assignment folders to give them feedback. So I've really used a lot of video with Drive, and I just film it right in the Google Drive app, and it uploads right into their folders from there. It doesn't store locally on my phone then. It just goes right into Drive.
Perfect. So a couple more things. I wanted to go through just a couple of the apps quickly just to kind of show you and talk about how I use them. I'm going to give you time to kind of explore. So maybe like, okay, this is all fine and dandy. You talk about this, but I need some time to kind of check things out. So I'm just going to talk a little bit longer, and then I'll let you kind of explore things. So the next one is Google Docs. So I use these. I use it with my phys ed class, I use it with my health class, I use it with my phys ed class. I use it with pretty much all that I can. Everything I put is really up in my Google Drive account for my students. So with my assignments, I have assignments up there. I have notes up there for the kids to check out. Even like my PowerPoint notes, you can upload PowerPoints into Google Drive so the kids can access. I also have a collaboration tool. So just like I talked, it could be kids editing a document. So no longer can you have kids saying, I can't work on that document because my partner has it, it's on that computer. Or it's on that computer and someone else is on it. My partner's sick. It's, no, you have access to it. You can share it with me as well as a teacher. I have access to it, so I can see when they've edited things. You can go in and say, see revision history and see if they're working on it last minute or if they're working on it throughout the process. So it's really, really quite neat, the possibilities of these, and just kind of what you can see how the students are processing things. So you can guide them. You can support them as best you can. If you think they're actually working, but really they're not, you can look and see if they're working. There's a little chat function. You can see what they're chatting about. You can chat with them and tell them, get to work. So kind of neat little things that you can do in Google Docs. I believe Google Sheets, spreadsheet. Yep. Okay. So Google Spreadsheet. So again, kind of like I showed you, it's a data collection. Everything that you have comes into this form. It's all in one spot. Really, really neat. A lot less papers. It's all in one spot, all for you to access. And then there's scripts that you can put in add-ons, which I'll show you a little bit later, kind of what that is. And then there's Google Forms, which is my favorite tool, because Joey kind of showed us in his keynote a little bit about what a Google Form is and kind of how it works. You can take some time to explore, create your own forms if you want. But it's really nice to gather information from your students, help you with, to give feedback to your students, teacher assessment, student assessment. You can have a QR code up on the wall if your high school students walk out, if devices are allowed. You can have them scanning the QR code as they walk out. Tell me 3 things that you learned today, or the 3 cues that we talked about today as they're walking out the door. So different things that you can do with your forms. It's just really neat to get that data assessment all in one spot. And in Google Forms, the nice thing now is you can, like Adam had up there, your videos. You can have videos popped up. You can have pictures popped up. So if you want to have a little quiz, you can have a video and say, talk about creating space. Okay, so what is this person doing here? Give me a little description of what they're doing. There's a picture. Maybe it's last session I said give you an example of a basketball shot. Okay, what are the 3 cues? Bounce, elbows, eyes, follow through. If that's what you're using for the cues, you can have a picture of the person doing it. You can have them use arrows and say, what's this part, what's this part, whatever you're doing. So really kind of neat things that you can work with when it comes to Google Forms. So then my last example that I wanted to talk about was my Hellison's Level self-regulation form. So actually I got to give credit to Joey for this one because this is my idea. I stole this idea from him, so thank you, Joey. But how I use this form, so yeah, perfect, it's popped up. I don't know if you can really see it that well, but when you, if you have access to the presentation, then you can click on it yourself and you can kind of see what it looks like. But what happens is, in my gym, we talk about Hellison's Levels with my little kids all the time. We always have a focus. What are we focusing on today? Effort and cooperation. If I have students who are a little bit less focused, what I have them do is I say, hey, I need you to self-regulate. They go to the wall, they toss the ball against the wall a couple times, kind of just to kind of focus themselves. They grab the iPad, they scan the QR code, and then they fill in this form. So basically what they do is they have to put their name into it, and then they have to answer all these questions. Which, really, I think I've only had one student have to do this twice because they do not like filling out this one. Because it takes time and it makes them think. Why are you doing this? What's happening? How's it affecting your learning? How's it affecting your students' learning? Then, perfect, and Adam's adding some information into it because Naomi called me a name first. So, the student enters all the information and that goes straight into a spreadsheet, which again is fantastic because now in your daybook or wherever you write things down, you don't have to write down, talk to Jimmy again today, had a conversation with Jimmy about this, etc. It's all in that spot. And then the really cool thing is if you involve scripts and add-ons into this, you could probably have this, which I haven't done yet. This is something I'd like to look more into next year. But you can email it to a parent. So you can have this information, once that form is submitted from that child, the email goes straight to the parent with the information in it. You don't have to send anything, so the communication is open with your parents. So really kind of neat things that you can do with this. And yeah, so that was just another example of how I use this in my classroom. All I have to do now with my students is do you need to self-regulate? And they're like, oh, I'm good. I'm focused now. So something to think about. Now I'm not saying that this is the end-all be-all, this is how you got to do it, but this is just another example of how I do things in my classroom. And I have to thank Joey for that because he wrote a blog post about it, and I just kind of like, this is the best idea ever. Stealing it. So, Adam, do you have anything to add?
I'm not really sure why I was sent to self-regulate. I'm not sure what you mean, teacher. So you're going to have to inform me on the rules of your classroom, please. Not right now. Some other time. That's all I got. Good work. Go team.
So, Adam, how much time do you have? Do you got to take off pretty soon?
I think it's time that we have time. I think you want to get some of these folks working on some of these things so we're not just selling Google all day.
We really should be getting paid for this. Okay, so what I would like you to do, Adam, can you go up to the one of the first slides that has a sign-up sheet on it, or the sign-up QR code? Okay, so if you just came to the session because you decided that you saw it on there, like, oh, this might be something good to go, and you had to sign up ahead of time, I'd like you to either scan this QR code, yeah, this one right here, or type in bit.ly/SPIA and then I can share the information with you. If you've already signed up for this, you've received emails from me, please go into your shared drive. So get into your Google account, and then go into shared with me. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, Adam, can you show an example of what that might look like?
Sure. This is shared with me, but this is not. Yeah, here we go. Shared with me.
Kind of hard.
Yeah. And so my drive looks not a lot like yours. I have a lot of stuff in my drive, but if you click shared with me, you can see all the things that are shared with you, and then you can also see what next. So I'm assuming, Naomi, you want them to open the view folder, Google Apps for Education view folder, and the SPIA Google Apps Resource Guide. Is that correct? Okay.
Yeah. So you want to open that resource guide, and so if you don't have that, fill in that form. Do I need to write it on the board again? That's log. Okay. Oh, and by the way, this is my handy dandy fanny pack, and it's really awesome because I keep my markers and everything in it. I get made fun of it all the time, but it's the best fanny pack ever. And if you want to talk about it after, we'll talk about it after. My kids think I'm kind of crazy for wearing it, but it's pretty cool. So it's just B. Yeah, I'm okay with that. And I think this was lowercase. So bit.ly/SPIA sign up, and I'll put it on this side too. Oh, and I'll put it in between here. Oh, no period.
Hey, while we're waiting right here and we have some time, give a little shout, a little thanks to Joey Fight, who's helping us with some work right here. Why don't you say hi, Joey, and give a little wave? Because I know there's some people watching.
Hey, everyone.
So did everybody get a chance to access that? Does anybody have any issues?
I think at this point, Naomi, I have to let you go and end the broadcast. But thanks for having me hang out, and I go forth and Google on.
Thank you very much for joining us. We appreciate it. Yeah, we'll continue with this, and I'll let you know how it goes. So,
yeah.
Thank you.
Follow the hashtag SPIA 2014. I am SPIA. Yeah, have fun.
Thank you.
Yep. See you later.